My youngest brother almost died, and I was debating on whether or not I want to talk about this, but I figure it's really no harm in giving you guys an inside look into my life for the ones that actually might take interest in that, you know what I mean? But my brother almost died. He is the youngest. I have a brother that's, I'm 55, so my brother's 4 years younger than me. So I think the middle brother is 51. And I want to say James is the youngest. He's about 46, 45, 46. I'm sorry, but it's been a long time. And he was the most athletic out of all of us. Which is crazy that all happened to him all the way back when he was in his 20s. He probably was like 20, 21, and he was playing basketball, not professionally or on a team or anything, but he was just playing full court. You know how you do as a kid, playing with some friends, and you're going back and forth, and you're playing, and he literally collapsed. I don't know what they call it, heart attack or whatever they call it, but all I know is he collapsed and he was probably legally dead for a few minutes. They amazingly saved his life. He did have amnesia for a little bit, like he still to this day, I don't think remembers everything from our childhood. But he regained most of his memory. Fast forward, somehow he built an amazing career around animals. He loves animals, and I think that's great that he found something he was happy doing. So he works at some type of vet hospital thing, and he's been there doing this for years, most of his life. He loves animals. He pretty much takes care of the dogs and the cats and feeds them and walks them and that type of thing, but he's been doing it for probably over 20 years. Before that, it was a lot of dead-end jobs like most of us. But this has been his most consistent job in his life. And they allow him to still be like actively smoking weed and drinking, not on the job, but you know, he'll come in from a night of drinking and still reek of alcohol and they'll still let him work. You know, that's how much I believe they loved him. You know what I mean? So he loved the job, never wanted to leave, and he was happy. But fast forward to recently, I mean, when I say recently, it's early as right around Christmas. I don't think it was the day of Christmas. I think it was like a day or two before Christmas. He's 46 now. He collapses again because the defibrillator, I believe they call it, they put in his chest when he was a young man. Kind of like monitors your heart, supposed to supposedly jumpstart your heart if something happens. I thought that's how it worked. Well, he collapsed. And because my brother's been lax at checking it. I think you're supposed to check this thing like every 10 years or so. Make sure it's working properly. He did none of that. None of it. And like most black males, including myself, we have this fear of any medical attention because we just don't want to hear bad news. That's my thinking, that I feel. Because I'm not to change the subject, but I'm at the age too where I gotta, you know, get the colonoscopy stuff, and I feel relatively healthy, but I'm hearing that people find out they got colon cancer and had no pain. Nothing was wrong. So that worries me a little bit. But back to my brother, he just wasn't having checkups on him. That's supposed to be like even every 10 years. You know, it's been over 30 years, he's never checked on it, and he collapsed. Thank God he was at work. thank God he was at work. And one of his bosses, thank God, was knowing my brother better than I know him, because she's known him for over 20 years of his recent life, and I haven't really been around him like that. We live in separate towns. Granted, we could see each other. It just, no excuse, life just gets away. And you think about your immediate family more so than like your siblings, I per se, because I have like granddaughters. I think about them every day, but you don't think about your grown siblings necessarily. You know what I mean? So that's my only excuse. But this lady's known them over 20 years, so they're like friends too. My brother knows her kids. My brother has met several vets and doctors that I guess have passed through the company, so they love him. And thank God when he collapsed at work. And the way they described it to me, he was having like a seizure and just convulsing, collapsing. But because he was at work, they were able to get him medical attention very, very quickly. Very quickly. Which is probably what saved his life, honestly. I didn't mention it, but they love my brother so much that I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but, well, I guess I can, because you don't know what facility. But they had a room on the premises of, I guess, where this vet hospital is, and they allowed him to live on the premises rent-free. I'm not going to say the facility. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm not even going to mention the town, because I don't want to get them in trouble, because they made it clear that it's not a legal apartment dwelling for him to be living here, but he lives here rent-free, so he's able to work overnight, take care of the dogs and stuff, but he loves it. He's able to smoke his weed, drink. He has a lovable cat of his own. He's got 2 cats, but he got really one lovable cat that I personally like, that acts more like a dog. And when he calls it comes and it talks to him, and he'll sit there and be talking to the cat. When he's smoking, the cat almost seems to respond. Almost seems to respond. And then he got a cat that was left by an ex-girlfriend. And I think the cat is a female cat too. That, you know, it's a nice cat, you know, but it just doesn't have the personality that the other one has, you know. But they're both nice cats. They, you know, if I go over there and they'll let me pet them and stuff like that. So he's happy. He haven't been paying rent. They've been telling me that they think he's been stashing quite a bit of money. Not to my brother's business, but he's got a good credit score. I got him to join Navy Federal, so he did listen to me on that. He's got probably, not to be telling his business, but he's got a few thousand, I'll say. I don't want to even say a few thousand, because it could be 5 to 10,000. But he's got more money put away than the average person in his situation. He's got quite a bit of money put away that if I convinced him, which I had a bad experience with the other brother in business, but if I convinced him, I could probably easily convince him to start a business either with me or start a business for himself and walk him through building a business credit. And because he's with Navy Federal, I could probably get him to move some of that money over to Navy Federal and tweak some things and get even more credit on the personal and business side. He's probably at about 7. He's probably at where I'm trying to get back to right now. He's probably got like a 700 credit score, if I were to guess, because I don't ask him these things. But I may incorporate him into this bigger picture that I got in my head where I want to start a new C Corp. And even a brother that doesn't talk to me, the middle one, I might bring him into that too. Because we haven't been close as family, and I feel like I want to build a legacy that we can all enjoy. At the very least, because I'm starting a marketing agency, AI marketing agency, but we're going to help people set up their business and stuff. At the very least, I might set up my brother James, his own business, not charge him anything, show him all the steps, and let him leave that legacy to someone. Because I'll be honest, although I'm the oldest, knock on wood, if I don't find out, some freak of nature, cancer pops up, I'm probably the most healthiest, and I'm the oldest. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to live the longest, because a freak of nature could happen. I get hit by a car, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying, of natural causes, I believe I stand a chance of, and this is probably wrong for me to say, but living a much longer life. Because even the middle brother, I don't know if he's back to it, but he used to drink a lot. And he smokes 3 times more weed than me. Not that weed's gonna kill you, but anything you're taking in your lungs is bad. Anything. I smoke weed, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't smoke nowhere near as much as either brother. And then James, he has the heart problem, and he over excessively drinks and smokes weed. God willing, I would love to see either one of them outlive me. I'm not making it a contest. I'm just saying purely on, living a long life and dying of natural causes. These guys just beat up their bodies, And I guess you could say I'm more of the homebody person out of all of us. I used to go out and drink like everybody else, but I kind of stuck to beer. I never was like this person that was on like a lot of liquor or anything like that. I just wasn't one of those. I've probably been introduced to every drug on the planet, but I only chose to. I tried acid back in the day. I'm not gonna lie about that, but that was when it was just sugar cubes. I wouldn't do acid nowadays. You don't know what it is, or Molly, or any of these things. I probably tried shrooms once or twice. That was like a normal, like you were a weed smoker back in the day. And then I even started smoking weed later in life. I thought this was normal. I was like probably 20, 21. I think I was 21. All the kids I grew up with were doing this stuff as young teens, 14, 15, 16. Some of them were smoking cigarettes. I never got into cigarettes. I used to, puff on a little Black and Mild back in the day, but that was for show. It was really not any inhaling involved. So, back to my brother's story, because I did get away from it. But to this day, after they put a tracheotomy in his throat, they realized they don't need that now. It got better some freak way. They saved him. It got better, and they say he doesn't even need a tracheotomy anymore. So they're removing that, and I guess they're gonna sew it up or whatever to get it back to normal and let him talk on his own. So he might actually make it back to his normal life before that accident, but that thing lingers over me because they don't want to do an operation. And I'm kind of going back and forth with this, because even though we weren't close for a couple of years, I communicate communicate with this brother more than the middle one, at least for the past few years. We communicate through text and Facebook and stuff like that. We might not sit down and talk, but we do communicate. And he's in the hospital to this day, and he's able to text me, let me know his progress, and he says he'll be home. Him meaning home is back at the facility, at his room with his cats, and he loves his job. We're trying to get him Social Security because we think at this point he needs it, and if he still wants to work part-time, which he will, he can still do that. I think that'll just be a difference in what he receives or whatever. But he loves his job. I think his boss even said he got vacation time still due. You know, they love this dude. I even told him I was jealous because in all the years I've worked at retail and even working for myself for 3 years, I had my own brick and mortar cell phone store. I never had that love for people at work. I thought I had it at Bed Bath for a while. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I had it at Bed Bath for a while because there was a couple people I used to like joke around with at work at Bed Bath & Beyond. But I don't think I really had it. I think it was kind of fake. You know how people could just be fake. I think that's more what it was. But James, I feel like genuinely, he has really good people. And some of them are like high-end veterinarians, so they have pull in communities. So I don't think James realized what he has. So if I do a private member group, like I've been talking about back in the day, how you should have a real life and online private member group where you can invite people, sit down and talk about business. You know, I'm giving my brother a free membership, not because he's my brother, but he has all these people of influence in the veterinarian world. I may be able to use that in business at some point, even just to get them to sign up to join the membership. I'm thinking like almost like your country club type idea, except it's not going to be like a country club or one of those golfers club, but something similar in the fact that you have a membership. And what the benefit is you will have a better connection with like-minded business people, better than the Chamber of Commerce, because it's real, it's up front, and we'll have a space online where they communicate. That's where they'll pay the membership. For example, say the membership is $97 a month. They're gonna pay it on an online platform, but they could go to the physical location as well. And I'm thinking the physical location, the way that should bring in revenue is making it event space. Because if you notice, even these golf clubs type things, what do? They rent out event space. The ideal location, I'm most likely going to have to rent, but in a perfect world, you want to buy the space. You want to buy it. You want to own that tangible property, but not in the same business name. It's kind of two different kind of taxes. One is commercial real estate. So you would make that a separate LLC for the building. You would make the private member club / event space pay rent to the LLC that owns that property. And if you're smart, you'll have a holding company in a safe state that controls all of it. That's my thinking. And you definitely want to have holding company, go a step further, owned by your living trust. Because none of us are going to be here forever. I may or may not outlive my 2 siblings, but I'm going to be set up in a way where my child won't have to worry about my stuff or anything I own now and in the future, because I plan on owning some stuff. That's what all this is about. My credit score right now, my old holding company, for those that are going to ask, oh, you haven't built up no business personal credit. I've done it in the past. I'm not going to say I haven't made mistakes going forward. This is kind of like the rebuild, because I made some mistakes. Even with the holding company setup, there was a lot of mistakes that I've learned from now. So I'm redoing everything. Glendon does this too. Glendon just does it too often. Glendon will set up a holding company every 2 years and have new operating companies and everything. This is just my first go around and restructuring everything. The good thing is I've been secretly branding myself with the name I'm going to use for years. I'm not going to say it right now in this video, but I'll say this. One of my YouTube channel names is going to be the brand for this AI marketing agency. I'm going to be using the code, the NAICS code of Software Publisher. Why? Because it's super low risk. You can no longer do a consulting business. And because if you're black, especially if you're black, and you walk in a bank and they say, well, what kind of business you have? And you say consulting, and red flag. Why red flag? Because that has been the go-to business for black people for years. Many, many years now. And the banks are hip to it. The banks are hip to it, they know it, and they know chances are you're going to default. So why software publisher? The banks love technology right now. We are in the AI era that you will never see. This is like a one-time thing. This is like the internet all over again. When the internet came out, people were excited. That's this. Or when crypto first came out and everybody went nuts over crypto, whether you knew about it or not, you tried to get your hands on some type of crypto. That's this. The AI era. Some people call it, they're going to say it's a bubble and it's going to, implode, and that's when things will slow down. But right now, things are hot for AI or technology in general. So it makes sense to start a technology company. And software publisher is super low risk. Now, how am I going to show proof that I even know something about technology? That is the simple part. You want to know why? AI technology. You simply show them what you're doing with the tools. I got YouTube channels. I got a TikTok. I got a couple Instagrams. And Gemini AI Studio built me an actual app that works. If the bank were to ever ask me, well, what do you do about technology? I could say the truth. Ever since AI technology started, which was probably only a few years ago, 2021? Whenever ChatGPT came out, that was the beginning. I was in the house after the pandemic, learning, because I'm older, it takes me longer. I'm willing to admit that. And I've built up enough knowledge that I could convince any investor that I not only know about technology, that if I bring in the capital, I can hire and direct the right people to build something better. To build something that I can't build on my own. I'll be able to convince people of this, even if I just use this one video. Because the truth, that's the beauty about all of this. If somebody from the bank is watching, they're going to understand he's not lying. He understands that, well, most people understand that the technology is there where you don't even need to know how to code, so you can actually build an app that works. I have an actual app that works that I can show the bank and be like, yeah, you just input this information and it'll give you a business name idea, strategies on how to market your business. It'll tell you all that with the app. And it works. Powered by Google. Because even though ChatGPT started it all, I don't know, guys. Google is killing it. I'm hearing a lot about Microsoft's Sora too, but Claude Sora, or whatever you call it. But Google is killing it with the free AI tools. Free. I've been able to do so much with free. And I still occasionally go back to ChatGPT for some things. I haven't tried Claude. People tell me if you're really techie, use Claude. But I'm not really techie. That's why I love Google. And the more I learn, the more I might not need anyone else. But I know that it makes sense to bring in smarter people that can build strategies, that know how to use these tools better, and we could possibly build a AI tool that focuses on one particular type of business that could make us millions. But I could get to that point. I have a real grant source. I have actually a partnership I'm about to announce with a company that gets you business funding directly from me. Not from me, but they'll do the work behind the scenes, but I'll refer you and I'll get paid. That in itself is a business, but that's just one revenue stream that we're going to have under the same business. And I still haven't given up on transportation, but the strategy is you go in and you borrow with a technology company, and now you'll have enough business credit where you could go back and buy vehicles and put them under your transportation LLC. Now you could set this up as a transportation company and just go directly, but transportation is what? High risk. Even though you might just be doing Uber or DoorDash, if you set up an LLC for it, you're not going to get as much in business and corporate credit. You're not. You're just not. But because your holding company, the main company you're working on and focused on, is bringing in all the corporate credit versus business credit, because you got to guarantee it under your personal, which I'm going to do. That's the whole point of getting my personal credit up. I only got 50 more points, guys. Well, 50, 60 more, maybe like, I want to get to like a 720 just to be safe before I pull the trigger on guaranteeing anything. So, you know, that's going to be a little bit more than 50 points. So 70 more points away to my heyday, where I used to have over 700 credit score. But like I said, I made some mistakes. So I'll get back to that. I'll guarantee maybe the first 150,000. And then I guarantee you I will no longer have to guarantee, well, even if I have to, I could guarantee every 6 months, and the inquiries don't really matter. And you got to remember, I'm focused on grants. The grant money, you don't have to pay back. But here's the only downside. And I'm not a tax professional, but you check with yours. But if you're not structured properly, normally you'll pay taxes on the grant money. It's still taxable. But there's some ways you can tweak that. You can put it into real estate, and I'm sure there's some ways you could save on some tax strategies when you talk to your people, your tax people. And of course, the business credit, for me, this is for me now, will only be for private events, like we're going to a seminar, and because that's considered a expense for the business. So obviously at that point, I can pay for the rooms, the actual event itself, the food, the gas. But other than that, the business credit really is going to be used for two things. For a backup, in case you have a revenue problem for that month or that year, or to expand the business and buy more real estate or actual companies that I want to acquire. I might raise enough. Think about this. I have an AI marketing agency. I could easily raise enough between grants and my personal backing the business credit that I could go buy a marketing agency under my brand. See what I'm saying? Now it gives me more credibility, and it gives me more what? Age. Do a reverse merger or however you gotta do it, and I will acquire that age of that company. Let's say that company's been around 3 years. I'll acquire that age under my branding. Now I have a company that automatically, as long as it's got some revenue, all I do is have some revenue, and I might have to do a little tweaks here and there, bring in the right AI tools to build that up, and that will be the agency. I won't even have to go out and start an agency or do a high level and you know what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at it. Where I won't need to worry about doing that side of things where I have to, and if you acquire the right business, you're already going to have a manager in place. You're either going to have the old owner, and he stays on as an employee, and he might only sold a business for he had revenue problems, which you solve because you have business credit. Or he decides to leave after he sells you the business, but you got employees there, and he might have a manager there. You keep the manager in place, you keep the payroll in place, and you just keep operating as normal. You might just want to stick your head in there, and every now and again. And I know me, if it's in Connecticut, I'm going to stick my head in probably at least once a month, probably unannounced. Because that's how I get down. Probably unannounced. I probably won't be saying anything. But that's how we're going to do this. If you guys are interested in watching and seeing more of my plan, I am going to have a lot coming out. I'm going to have courses. I want to do some type of book, even if it's just an ebook. And I'm anxious to do more this year. I'm anxious. I'm excited. I look forward to. But my brother's okay. Like I said, he should be released. Probably, he's saying anytime next week. We got a big snowstorm coming. I mean, big. Probably our biggest. And starting tomorrow, this is a Saturday when I'm filming this. Starting tomorrow, Sunday, into Monday, it's going to be the storm of the world. And I'm ready for it. I'm going to go back home after seeing my people today, and that'll be that. You know, I'll get my snacks ready. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me rant, and have a great weekend. And come back to the channel and watch more. Thank you.